Hello and welcome to Intermediate Levelhead Design. This video will be all about the pathing editor, or the pathing tool as it's sometimes called. So this will be your basic screen that you should have loaded out. Okay, this contains everything you do to build a level, except it does not contain anything to do with paths. The path is its own separate editor. So in the path editor, you can only deal with paths. You cannot deal with objects. So normally, I would try and grab some of these things and drag them around, like I can do in the aforementioned screen. Okay? But if you're in pathing, you can't do that. You can only deal with paths. So, if you've got no paths, then you start a new one. And then this will expand a bit more, and this will expand too. If you don't see it, just click on this arrow here, and that'll bring it up. Okay. So, one thing at a time here. Okay. You have a start point, which is the square, and an end point, which is the triangle. So you can grab this, you can grab these and put them wherever you want, just by clicking and dragging. Okay. You can also use the grab tool, which is G. I'm holding down G to do this. But that will be slightly different, and we'll cover that in a minute. So, the path. Whenever you have multiple paths on screen, you will always be using or modifying just one at a time. You cannot modify more than one at once. So what I've done there is I've just essentially lengthened it by adding a node. Okay, this adds a node, but it adds it on to the end. It doesn't add it anywhere in the middle. It adds it on to the end. You see that? I've just simply changed the endpoint there. Okay, the next one is insert. So this one, you can put them anywhere where there isn't one already, just like that. For delete nodes, you can delete individual ones. Okay. You can delete the path, so that'll delete the entire thing no matter what you're doing. And then you have T down here, which will allow you to create a whole new path. Now, as you can see there, when I add the new path, it simply selected this one. This means I can only, again, modify just this one. Okay? Because if I try and, let's say I wanted to add a node, or rather insert a node, but you click up here, it just simply puts it in the one that it's already trying to modify. You will know which one is modifying by this little animation that it's doing, and also that it's purple. And of course, all the little nodes will glow as well. You can, like I said, you can only do one at a time. You cannot select multiple paths. You cannot select multiple nodes at once. You simply have to do one thing at a time in this editor. That is one of its strengths and one of its drawbacks. Okay, so let's just clean things up just a bit. We can do that. So let's go over this here. Active speed is anything that is hooked to this will be traveling at this speed. Okay, so let's click out and let's just put a thing that will travel. Okay, a lot of things can travel. Many different things can travel, but for now, let's use a basic flyblock. Okay. Now, as you can see, this is the only time that you can modify anything in the path from this menu is when you put something in it. You can only insert at nodes. You cannot put anything just in there. There has to be a node present in order for you to hook it. You'll know it's hooked in there when it has this little lock symbol. Okay? There'll be a little lock symbol there. So if I do that, okay, the path is, or rather the object is utilizing the path. If it's not in there, it's not. If it's just sitting here, it's not either. It needs to have a lock symbol. Okay, let's keep it simple. And let's go back. Okay. So, what do we do with these things? The active speed, again, is what these items that are locked into the path will go, and they will always go from the square to the triangle. They will go from start to finish. Now, what do they do at the end is when they get here, what do they do? So there's either reverse or stop. Okay, well, we'll just see what this looks like. We'll get to the visuals in just a second. So, as you can see, it's going towards the end and it's going straight back. It's going towards the end and going straight back. Now, the visuals are an extremely useful thing to pay attention to. So, there are many different types of visuals that you can make it look like, but for now, its defaulted will always be cable. Okay, so that's what it looks like. Well, let's say you wanted to keep that hidden, okay? Because if something is on it, the player will know where its basic intended destination is and what it's going to do. You can reasonably expect that by coming in here, if you were playing, you would know exactly where that was beginning and ending, just by the way it's traveling. Okay, but what if you didn't want them to know that? Well, you can split it to none. And now they can't see it anymore. You'll probably be using none quite a bit because unless you want that particular aesthetic on your level, you're not going to use it. Okay. So, knowing that, what else can we do? Well, once you've inserted nodes, okay, you can now move them about, and this will direct the path. Okay? So we'll get to that in a second, how this object collided with a bit of the level. Okay? Alright. So, you can path through things. You can path them entirely, and if the object is able to go through it, it will. I think, in general, if you can path it, it can go through things. Okay, let's just have a look. Flybox, you definitely can. Okay, see it's going through there? But what about an enemy? You can path those too. Will enemies go through? They should. Okay, see? Remember that little icon there? The little... Can you see it? The lock. That means it is inside the path, and it will do what the path tells it. Okay? The path will overwrite anything else. So if you remember from the enemies video, you can modify this to do stuff on its own. If it's in a path, it will only do what the path does. Right? Yeah. So even though really that has defaulted to what this one should be doing, it's going to do what the path does instead. So back to this. Active speed. What you need to know about active speed is you can punch in whatever you want. It has to be between -600 and 600. All negative means is that it's going the opposite direction first. It will go towards the start first, and then depending on what this end action is, it will either reverse or stop. Well, let's see what stop does while we're here. And let's set the active speed that. Okay, here we go. It's quite slow. So when it gets to the end point, it should just stop. Yep. That's what stop does. When something gets to the end, it will stop. Keep in mind that by doing negative instead, that changes your point. So if we did minus, we'll make it quite quick so we can see what happened. Right. Minus. Right? These guys will go the opposite direction before they stop in this case. Okay. Let's get back out so we can put this over here so we can have a demonstration. Right? So these should be traveling back this way. Okay, let's go in there to stop. So just bear that in mind. If you have a negative number in there, it's going to do the reverse. Okay, that is basically how paths work. Now, I'm just going to do a couple different things to show you what you can do with paths. One of the main things you can do with paths that you're going to end up seeing in a lot of levels is just decoration. You don't actually need to put anything in the paths. Okay. So let's say you want to do that. Let's just make... let's just decorate this just a little bit. Let's make a little cave. Okay. Let's make a little cave. So, let's say we want to make some, I don't know, some cool little icicles. Okay. We'll get rid of these. Let's delete those. So we'll put that there. It doesn't matter what the active speed is because there's nothing on it. So the speed wasn't gonna speed isn't gonna do anything. Oh, the last thing I want to do is closed. So let's see, you add a node there. If you did closed, it would just go back to the start point from wherever that one is. And it would just stop at the end as well, I think. Why don't we just see while we're here? I'm not even sure myself. Right. Let's make this quick so we can find out quickly. Right, okay. Yeah, so even though it's heading back towards the end point, once it gets to its final stop, it will stop. Okay. One other thing is the grab. So there's going to be, once your levels get quite complex, you're going to have multiple things on paths, and you need to know how to deal with them. So if you just click and grab a node, keep in mind this is clicking, because I'm on PC. Clicking, you can grab the node and you can drag it away from the thing. Now, if you use grab, which in this case is G, it takes everything with it. So if it's linked to anything that can be linked to it, it's going to take it along for the ride as well. One other thing we need to cover is you cannot have more than one node in the same spot. Okay, it'll do that. That just means it cannot go there. You can overlap. Okay, you can overlap the path itself. On their multiple paths, you can always path through things, but it cannot hit another node at any point. So let's just see what that looks like. Okay. Okay. So this is perfectly fine. Okay, it won't intersect at all, meaning it's not going to like suddenly change direction. It's not going to switch paths at all. It's just going to continue the one path that it's on, even though this is in the middle of it. Okay, but again, you cannot intersect in either your own or any others in this way. You cannot overlap any nodes ever. Okay, let's keep it simple. So, back to making something look nice. So you have many different types of visuals. Stuff like Fortress, I would just advise, I won't go through them all individually, I would just go advise just clicking through them and seeing what works and what doesn't. But we were going to look, you know, if you want to make it a bit spooky, you could have some skulls hanging about, okay? Or we wanted some icicles hanging about. So why don't we just do some of that? And then through this, I'm going to show you how the copy and paste function works. So as you can see, we're just going to lay down defaults here. Okay. Now, of course, that is fairly cumbersome. You have to press T before you can do another one. And then if you want to, you can select them all individually. But there's a quicker way to do it. So let's make this one into what we were thinking about earlier, which was a, yeah, an icicle kind of looking thing. Okay. So what you can do is the same. It's the same method. If you're wanting to copy and paste, is you right click. Keep in mind, if while you're in the pathing editor, as I've said before, you cannot modify anything other than paths. So even though it's given me a copy function here, that doesn't actually mean I'm copying anything from here. You'll make this mistake a lot. Don't worry about it. It's just frustrating. But what am I copying? From here, I am copying only what's in here. I'm not copying anything about nodes. I'm not copying anything about length. It's just the active speed, receiving channels, etc. All this stuff. That is the only thing I'm copying. It's this information here. Okay? So I'm going to press V, and that's going to paste that stuff there, and it's giving me the exact same ones here. Okay? So this says right here, 300 no stop bones, right? Okay? So this one does not say that, but as soon as we hit V, everything's changed over. That's one of the best ways you can make interesting looking levels, is just by pathing some stuff. And it's quite easy to do once you get around it. And that's all you really need to know. It's a very complex tool, and along with logic, you can do some very amazing things with it. So just to give you an example, let's play through a level, or let's look at a level that I've done recently, just to give you an idea of the things you can do with it. What is this? I need to, yeah, no, that one. There we go. There we go. Okay. Okay, you see all these paths? This is all from pathing. See all these? All this gray stuff? This is all pathing. So what I've said here in these, I want these to go this direction until they stop and they get to the end of the level. And a lot of it is movement based. Okay. You can path a lot of hazards. You can path enemies. You can path pickups. And so yeah, let's just have a basic look. Okay. Oh, and that's the last thing is cameras. You can path those as well and create a little auto scroller. Okay. So watch some pathing to the left. That stuff comes down. That's a pathing. These things coming up, even though it looks like it's natural, it's a pathing thing. These ones coming down, more pathing. A bit of lag there. The only pathing going on here is the rafts down at the bottom. That's the only pathing here. And the camera, of course. And the sun, which is following it. That's all pathing. A bit more pathing coming up. Watch with the flowers. Okay. Again, these are pathing, but these paths are set to reverse. So there's some very short paths here. Okay, they're just set to reverse. That's all those things are doing. They're following a path very slowly, and they're just going to reverse. This one will be one way as soon as I hit this lock. It's just going to go up. And that pathing is actually pretty simple. A lot of it's just straight lines. And once you get your head around doing some of the just modifying things individually and getting to grips with having to switch menus quite a bit to do lots of modifying, it's actually fairly straightforward. You don't need to... It's just drawing and seeing what works. That's all. As you can see, these ones intersect, but they don't have anything to do with this one. Okay. They can intersect, again, but they can't. You can't have any nodes overlapping. It won't allow it to happen. Right, I think I've covered everything. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you in the next video. Any questions, you can let me know in the comments below, or you can also post on Discord, in which many people can help you there. Have a good day.